awesome people. Welcome back to my channel. I am really grateful. Thank you so much for subscribing, because I know you have. I just know you have. I just know when I look through my long list of subscribers, I'm going to see your name. You that are busy liking this video but not subscribing, shame on you. Today's video topic is going to be about my experience in, drumroll, Mauritius. Yes, my experience in Mauritius, how any of you who is interested in going there can get there, what I liked about it, how did I find the culture, how did I find the cost of living, how was the education that I received there, and basically many interesting and fun facts about the island. So, to begin with, how did I get to going to Mauritius? How did I get to... Most people ask me why, of all places in the world, did I choose Mauritius to do my law degree? And the answer is really somewhat a long story. But to cut the long story short, I attended an international schools expo with my dad. It was happening at Serena Hotel in Uganda. And Mauritius was one of the destinations that was fronted. They were talking about British universities and how they have affordable education there. And my dad, being a visionary, thought, okay, this is not a very common study destination. Why don't we try it out? Because, I mean, you are getting a British degree at a much more affordable cost. That is because you're going to pay way less in terms of cost of living, you're going to pay way less in terms of school fees, and at the end of the day, you get the same degree. The university I chose was University of Middlesex, and I did my law degree there for 3 years. Yes, guys, I was on the island for 3 good years. So, let's get into it. How was my experience there? To sum it up, I'm going to say, if I could do it all over again, I would make the same decision. Studying on the island was a refreshing, invigorating experience that I will live to remember. One, because it was unique, it wasn't cliche. I mean, it's a vacation destination. 2, because being an island, it cuts you away from the rest of the world. So you have so much time to focus, so much time to reflect upon what it is exactly that you want. Basically, there are not so many distractions, because if you need to go anywhere, the flight costs were crazy. Even if you say you got homesick, you think about, okay, I need to pay this amount of money just to go home for Christmas or for Easter. So isn't it better I save that money and do something else with it? So you'd cut off all thoughts of going home, cut off all thoughts of, okay, let's take a road trip to, let's say, a nearby country, and you just focus. That's how it was for me. One of the things that shocked me, one was the culture experience. Guys, I still remember my first morning. I woke up at around 8 a.m. I went to the supermarket. I kid you not, it was closed. Closed. And I'm like, okay, is it a public holiday? Did I miss something? No, guys, like the supermarket next to where I was staying usually opens at 9 a.m. And I came to find out that that is the standard on the island. 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m. is when most places open. And here you are used to shops, back home opening by like 6:30, 7. Your, food stands are already up and running. So it's like, what? Wow. So basically that pace was just mesmerizing. I was like, how is it shops, malls open at around 8:30, 9 a.m.? There's some shops that close for lunch. Like, they close for lunch. Imagine, I had an experience where I went to a mall and the lady told us, no, we're closed. We're going for lunch. You don't want my money? Like, you don't want my money? Your lunch is more important than my money?
Oh my God! Wow!
So it was really, really humbling to know that the people in Mauritius really value their way of living, their lifestyle. Like, if it's time for lunch, it's time for lunch. Take your money elsewhere. Not all shops, but most of the shops. That was one of the things that shocked me a lot about the island. The other thing, due to naivety, was the fact that they're really, really well versed with English. Much as they say French is the official language, most Mauritians, a good number, speak really good English. So there wasn't ever a language barrier. And that worked both to my advantage and disadvantage, because I thought I would leave Mauritius speaking French. Yeah, let's just say that didn't work out as planned. So my French is still not as good. Their local language, their local dialect is called Creole. So that is what they speak mostly. It's like the equivalent of the Luganda and Swahili there. Like, if it's an informal setting, or if you're home, you speak Creole. But if you're in an official setting, in the class, we used to speak English. Let's say you go for meetings, or even their TV stations, they usually concentrate on English and French. My other culture shock was the fact that living in East Africa, being Ugandan, growing up in a Catholic family, of course seeing Muslims around, I had never really interacted with the Hindu culture. So it was really interesting, because a large population of people in Mauritius are Indian, most are Hindu. So finding a church to pray from was really a struggle, especially a Catholic church, because the churches have their masses in French. There's a couple of churches that have their masses in English, and that is where I would go to. And also the fact that most places all over the island, you would see like statues put up, because they worship different gods. So I took time to learn about the different gods and what they do, and even the festivals. It was the first time I attended a festival whereby they do like a pilgrimage, and give food to the needy. They would give drinking water, and we walked for miles and miles and miles until you reach a certain destination, and you just worship together. So I had never really experienced that, and that was really eye-opening to see that, wow, there's so many ways and varieties that people in the world worship, they worship God. So I was like, okay, that is new, that is interesting. Another thing that I found really fascinating was just the scenery. Oh my good God. Like, it it doesn't help that I came from a landlocked country. So things like oceans, especially blue oceans, were not scenes I grew up, being used to seeing. So going to a place and then it's just blue, not even just any ordinary blue, a sky blue that is endless. And you're just surrounded by beautiful beaches left, right, and center. In my own opinion, I think the northern part of the island, Grand Bay, is the most beautiful. That is actually where most tourists and foreigners go. The capital city is Port Louis. Though where I was based and where I was studying from was called Vakwa. It's more towards the south. So as students, we would usually go use the beach of Flick and Flack. That is where it was more accessible. Another thing I really found incredible was the cost of living. Can you imagine that my experience, the cost of living in Mauritius was way less than the cost of living, what I'm currently spending in Nairobi? That was really mind-blowing and really good, because at the time funds were not that available. So it really helped to see that, okay, you could take a bus for, let's say, 30 rupees, which is about the equivalent of 3,000 Ugandan shillings, or let's say about 20 Kenyan shillings. You take a bus and it would take you, quite a distance. You didn't need to hire a cab for most of your movements, but just in case you wanted to go out at night, cabs were available. It's really handy. You have a cab guy's number, because they didn't have Uber then. I'm not sure if it's come now, but then they didn't have Uber, so it was really handy if you had a cab guy's number. Then also if you had a driving license, renting a car was easily accessible. They'd charge you about between 2,000 to 3,000 rupees per day to rent a car, which is about 300,000 Ugandan shillings and in Kenyan shillings, that's about 6,000 Kenyan shillings. So renting a car, is it 6,000? This is less, about 3,000 Kenyan shillings, if I'm getting my math correct, about that. So renting a car was not that expensive. So what we'd do as students, maybe a friend would rent a car for the weekend, would share the cost and just drive around the island, look at the different beaches and do the different activities, which were also affordable. Would get student discounts, would get a student card and get student discounts. So study experience, how was my study experience? Personally, I felt that personally, I would recommend any parent out there to take their kid to Mauritius. One, because it's affordable. Two, it's because your child would be safe. The number one worry for most parents when they're taking their child abroad is, they're going to be exposed to things like drugs, or they're going to get spoiled. Now, being an island, I wouldn't say they are no, but the risk of exposure to drugs is really less, because the screening at the airport is crazy. It's really crazy, and by the time you get in, they also do follow-up checks to see where you've, settled in, if you're okay. I know they really take having malaria seriously, so whenever you get on the island, you must do a malaria check, because there is no malaria in Mauritius. So it's really safe, and being an island, the other thing, I forgot to mention, that really shocked me, coming from a place like Kampala where the nightlife is just going on and on and on. So now we go to Mauritius and then we find out, for example, the clubs where we used to go to in Flick and Flank, they would open at around 10 p.m. Like 10 p.m. or 11. People would get in, and then at around 2 or 3 a.m. it's closing. Like, here you are, coming from a place that is used to having a nightlife that goes from like 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning, and then there you're given a limited window to, party and then go back home. So that was really interesting and different. So I thought I would share that. Next thing is the food. Most people worry about, okay, I'm used to a particular type of food. How will I adapt? The menu there is mostly Indian and Chinese. So if you're someone who likes Chinese, you're in for a really good treat. They do really excellent fried rice, fried noodles. You can get your normal fast food, burgers, fries, pizzas, the usual. What I found fascinating and unique is because most of the population is Hindu, they are really big on vegan meals. So if any of you is planning to be a vegetarian or a vegan, it's a really good place to be. Actually, I went vegetarian for about a year, and it was a good experience because there were no temptations. You could go get a vegan burger, there were vegan, food options, so you wouldn't suffer as much as if you were in a place whereby there's so many meat options and, buying a vegan meal would be expensive. So yeah, it was an experience that was new, eye-opening, educational at the same time. Not to mention the people are really friendly. Whenever you go into a shop and they see, your dark skin, because most, if you're not Indian or Chinese or French looking, the Creole, you can usually tell the Creole Mauritians because they have like half-caste hair. So they'll usually, spot us out, would stick out like sore thumbs. They'll be like, which country are you from? Then you'd say Uganda, they're like, I know Idi Amin Dada. Then you'd be like, okay. Or be like, okay, wait. Or they'll be like, which part is Uganda? So the people were really friendly and curious, and it was really safe. You could walk out any time of the night and nothing would happen. Well, of course, there's always that 1 or 2% chances where some incidents happen, but most of the time it was safe. I used to stay next to where my university was. So at night, if you want, you could take like a jog or a walk, and it was genuinely safe. I never personally heard of any incidences in the 4 years I was there of people being, mad. Also, in terms of accommodation, it was really affordable. For example, if you were a student, you would rent out a 3-bedroom house and then pay for each room on your own. Most of the times, the rooms were self-contained, so you would share the house with 3 other housemates. Personally, where the room I was in, which was fairly decent spaced and furnished, the rooms are actually fully furnished. You don't have to buy anything. There's a mattress. Some houses, they give you even towels, but of course it's usually better to take your own towels. So I was paying 4,000 rupees for the room where I was staying, and you had to make sure that you paid your rent in time, and of course bills like electricity and water you'd collectively contribute at the end of the month depending on the usage. So the room I was paying for was 4,000 rupees. Just check 4,000 rupees, then you will have an idea. So that was the cost of accommodation. If you wanted to go out for a meal, let's say a normal decent meal, let's say a burger and fries would cost about 150 rupees, which is about 15,000 Ugandan shillings, which is about 400 Kenyan shillings, thereabouts. So it wasn't really expensive, but of course that's like on the middle end. If you wanted, you'd go for a cheaper meal, let's say a hot dog or a bowl of fried rice and noodles. Yeah, that in a nutshell was my experience in Mauritius. I would highly recommend it to anyone who's looking to take the children to, an international school. It has really good options. There are French universities, there are British universities, I'd really recommend it for anyone going on a honeymoon. The sites are to die for. Like it's a destination one must see before they die. And I'll also just generally recommend it to anyone who needs to take some time off to, reflect and just, settle or get centered. There's so many activities one can do, so many spas, so many nature walks, and you just basically cut yourself away from the rest of the world and just spend some me time, trying to get to know yourself, trying to, heal whatever, is disturbing you, and that will do for you. In terms of development, it's really, really well developed. They have really good roads. The airport is superb. Hospitals, that was another culture shock for me. Apparently there you don't pay for, entering a hospital. Consultation is free. You basically just walk in and walk out. Like, that was really awesome. Like, I had never experienced anything like that, and I found that to be really fascinating. So yeah, it's a really small island, but small, friendly, and beautiful. The bad things, the negative things I could probably say is being an island for someone maybe who is used to fast-paced life. After a while, it can get to be daunting and slow. That's if you're used to a fast-paced life and you're not used to the slow-paced life. That is for people who are, so it can get daunting after a while. Like the slow paced life gets to you. That's if you're not used. But if you're someone who doesn't like the fast paced, hustle life, these are especially people who are used to, let's say, places like Lagos, Nairobi, New York. If you come from Lagos, Nairobi, New York, and you go to Mauritius, it's like, wow, what a difference in terms of, the pace of life. So that gets to you after a while if you're the kind of person who likes the fast paced life. Then also, what else? I mean, that's about it. Imagine, that is really about it. That's the only thing that I probably found as a disadvantage, which is not a disadvantage because, it being an island and a tourist destination, that's the whole point, to be slow paced so people can enjoy the experience. So yeah, I would highly recommend Mauritius. If anyone is planning to visit, check it out. That's of course when this coronavirus ends. Also kudos to Mauritius. I read on the news that they managed to beat coronavirus. All the cases that were confirmed have recovered. So Mauritius is a coronavirus-free country now. So we just have to wait until the rest of us have also been declared coronavirus-free. Then we hit the air ticket by storm and visit that dream destination. That's it for my video today. If you liked my tips, please do, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a dislike, it's also okay. No hard feelings. Otherwise, as usual, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, bye, stay safe.